Hi, my name is Maria and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my very first Flosstube video and I'm so excited that you decided to stop by and check out who I am and what I'm about. I appreciate that very much. And so a little bit about me. I am from Texas. We currently live in North Texas and I was born in Texas. However, I didn't always live here. Growing up, my dad was a minister, and we moved all over the country. Uh, I've lived all over the country, and enjoyed that experience very much. In fact, I still get the itch to travel, especially coming in the fall. That was a hard habit for me to break for a number of years after we got married. Anyway, um, went to college in Tennessee where I met my husband, and we got married right out of college and moved to Hawaii, where we lived for 3 years. That was a very good experience. And then we moved to South Florida. After South Florida, I decided it was time for me to choose, and so we moved to North Texas. I traded the hurricanes for the tornadoes. I'm not sure that was a good choice, but after Hurricane Andrew, because we were living in South Florida at the time, I was ready to move farther away. Still love the ocean though. It's so beautiful. Anyway, we currently live in North Texas where we've lived for the last 20 plus years. We have one son. He's in college, and I was out of college. I graduated with a nursing degree and practiced pediatrics um, for most of my career. That was the area that I was working in, though I do have a variety of experience. Majority of my experience was in pediatrics. I don't currently practice. After our son was born, I had the opportunity to go home. So that's what I've been doing for the last since Adam was born. And I'm very excited and thankful that I was able to do that. Uh, However, it also created lots of opportunities for me to develop and learn new hobbies and crafts. I am a multi-crafter. As a teenager, I was always into um, different fiber arts. I learned how to crochet when I was young. Um, my dad had meetings in Honduras and when I was a girl, and they did crochet. They crochet doilies. That's what I learned how to crochet with. But I don't do doilies anymore. In fact, I don't own any doilies. But I still do some crochet on occasion. But I did some embroidery as a child. Of course, the macrame and the beading and stuff like that. But in college is where I learned how to cross stitch. I taught myself, and I don't currently have the very first project anymore. But that was a memorable experience. I decided I would stitch on Hardanger, and I think I did two or three threads over one square on Hardanger fabric. It was like a carpet when it was done because the fibers were so thick and hard to get in and out of those little holes. Anyway, most of you that cross stitch know that's not what you do. And I questioned the sanity, and then I started actually reading the instructions. So, um, that was my first project. That was not my last project. Um, I have since, uh, after we got married, we moved to Hawaii, and I will show you one piece that I completed while I was there. And let me get it. This was a piece that was in the Leisure Arts magazine. one of them, I think it was the very first one. I don't remember what it was called. It was back in the 80s when geese and teddy bears were really popular. Um, wasn't really into that scene, and that's probably part of why I transitioned away from cross stitch. But I did I did finish this piece and had it framed while we were in Hawaii. The framer that did it did glue the piece down. I've since learned that that's not what you do, and I did not put glass on it. And I have had something happen to one of the mats that was in it, and so I recovered the mat with some fabric and put glass, took it all apart, uh, had Hobby Lobby cut some glass for me and put that in and into the original frame and covered the mat that was messed up with fabric. So this is that piece. I think this is probably my first large piece that I did. And excuse the glare because it is not real fancy glass. But that's the piece. And I still like this piece. I don't know what the name of it is, who the designer was. The middle mat or the bottom mat here was the piece the mat that was all messed up. And that's the mat that I recovered with fabric when I took it all apart. When we moved to Hawaii, I believe the cross stitch shop was Fiddlesticks, and there may have been like some other places. I know there was Ben Franklin, and there was another craft store, but I don't remember what it was called that I would frequent, and that was where we got our supplies. And you may have heard Jan Hicks of Jan Hicks Creates talk about a couple of those places. Um, I had the opportunity of meeting her. Hi, Jan. You talked me into my first video. Thank you. And anyway, looking forward to seeing you when you get to Texas. And hopefully that's sooner than later. But we started talking online probably about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And I got to meet her last year before she moved to Hawaii. And then we've chatted some more since then. She's actually helped me with some knitting challenges that I had, and which I'll show you in just a little bit. But yeah, thank you, Jan. We'll see how this goes. Anyway, that was one of my first finishes that I know of. And then I took a break from cross stitch for about probably 12 years and went into quilting, did a lot of quilting. The piece right there is one that I did. It is full of sunflowers, and I love that piece. It's really pretty. Anyway, it's just a little wall hanging. There's several others that you may get to see at some point. But I did quilting, and then I transitioned to beading and wire work. And so I kind of run the gamut. I am definitely a multi-crafter. I never really did a lot of paper crafting or card making, journaling, that sort of thing. But I do, my mom does. So I have a resource if I ever wanted to learn. Anyway, some of my interests are still those that I learned as a girl. Sewing, I don't make clothing anymore, but I do still do quilting some, and I make fabric bags and the vinyl fronted bags and some other different styles that I make and use, and some I sell. I do work at our local LNS, which is the Stitch Niche. I've been there for about 2 years, and had the opportunity to come on board as one of their staff and have a lot of fun there. That is a dangerous place to work if you're a stitcher, which I am. But a little bit more about that. So I transitioned out and into quilting and came back to cross stitch about 3 years ago. And I discovered YouTube, Flosstube with Carolyn Mazzio's videos, and then Garrett, and then the world opened up, and I just kept discovering more new floss tubers. Some of my favorites are Jan Hicks of Jan Hicks Creates, and she's doing a phenomenal job for a variety of different things. If you're a new stitcher, she has some great tutorials for beginning cross stitchers. She does these heids, which I keep looking at, but have yet to start one. And then she's designing. You need to check out her design, her website. I believe it's Mad for Yarn. If not, Jen, you can put your link down below. Anyway, she's one of them. And then Caroline of Caroline Off the Grid Needle Arts is another favorite of mine that I've watched. And Michelle Garrett, as well as Michelle Farm Girl. And then Lisa, Kindred Stitcher. Thoroughly enjoy her. She is so talented. Anyway, currently work at the Stitch Niche, and I came back to cross stitch about 3 years ago when I discovered YouTube or Flosstube. And when I did that, I went into my local LNS, the Stitch Niche, and just was in awe of the patterns because, like I said, I stitched back in the 80s and then left it and really didn't get into stitching at all, just other media. And so designers had changed, and fabric had changed, threads had changed. I mean, yes, we still stitch with DMC and Anchor and Kreinik, but now we have overdyes, and now we have hand-dyed fabrics, and higher count fabrics. And so it's a lot of fun. Anyway, so let me show you one of my first finishes, if I can put my hands on it. Ah, here it is. I didn't want to do something really heavy duty or difficult. I just wanted to see if I still like to stitch. So I went and I bought Lizzie Kate pattern and her 5 Little Words set. I think I have 6 of the 7, and this was one of them that is one of the 5 that I've done. I have another one that I've started. I just haven't finished it. I started it last Stitch Mania, I believe. Anyway, this is one of her 5 Little Words, and it says, "Today, choose joy, keep it simple." And I really, really like how it finished and turned out. I used Vanna Pfeiffer's finishing technique with the twisted cord, and then also her, I think it was her tag ornament. But they're all finished using a batik fabric, and but different colors. I also did something different here. I used a bead from my stash rather than the buttons. So I still have those to use at some other point if I choose to. Anyway, that's an example of one of the 5 that I have finished. They're different color fabrics. I think I used the green in my twist as a coordinating thread, but I did not use the same colors throughout. So if that makes any sense. Maybe I'll pull some other ones out at some point, but that's one of mine that I finished when I first came back. And then some of my more recent finishes. This is one that I finished. Let me back up. When we went on a cruise, an Alaskan cruise, to celebrate my in-laws' 50th wedding anniversary, we stopped, I believe, in Juneau, and at the time there was an LNS there. I don't remember the name or where I purchased it exactly. I do know I got it there, and it was a kit except for the fabric. Anyway, this is stitched on Ada. I don't remember what count, but this is called The Eyes. This is by John Van Zyke, and it is a piece that was a piece of artwork that was transitioned to cross stitch, which I think is stunning. I finished him this fall or in December, so I can't tell where. There he is. Anyway, he's just beautiful, I think. This is probably the closest piece that I have to full coverage, and he was like 4 pages, so pretty big for me, of full coverage stitching, and I'm looking forward to getting him framed. I finished him in December. I believe it was the mid to late December. And then Caroline did a fundraiser for muscular dystrophy. Couldn't think of what it was for. And purchased this pattern. This was from 4 Girls and a Boy. And this is my finish. I love how this turned out. Again, I used beads from my stash because, like I said, I'm a beater. I believe these are size 15s if you're a beater. And the fabrics from my stash from quilting. And threads are just DMC, I believe, as called for. So I love how this turned out. I'm looking forward to actually putting it on my tree next year. Those are the finishes that I brought to show you today, or I pulled out to show you today. A gift that was given to me by the shop owner, she actually had me make a couple of these for some friends, is this Stitcher's Rule from Brenda Gervais. This is only available on her website, so if you're interested, I would recommend you go check it out. Looks like this. Sorry for the glare. There you go. Y'all have seen this. Anyway, I stitched mine up, finished it up. So here's mine. She gifted me the pattern, and then and the initial fabric, and then I pulled the rest, the inside as well as the rickrack that I use, and the zipper. Those are not included. I did not do the little strawberry yet, although I have the materials to do so. There are plenty of materials in here to do multiple strawberries, so I just haven't done that yet. And then in December, for Christmas, I wanted to start a new pattern in honor of Christmas. I pulled out an oldie but goodie. This is a piece that I have been wanting to stitch for a number of years, or I kept it when I got rid of all of my cross stitch stuff. Yes, I did get rid of all of my cross stitch stuff except for a couple pieces that I had started, and I don't think I kept any, maybe just a little bit of fabric and my DMC threads. That's all I had. And I kept the For the Love of Cross Stitch magazines and some Leisure Arts magazines. Did not keep any of or all of them. And I was like, oh, I'll never cross stitch again. You know, that's so old school, whatever. Yeah, I walk into my local L&S store and fall in love again. So pulled out this oldie but goodie. This is from January 1990, For the Love of Cross Stitch. Is this piece right here. Love this. I stitched a magnolia that is really similar, and I'm wanting to have this one as well framed. Maybe not frame it out quite like that, but I started that on Christmas, and it looks like this. Let's see. Like that. That's where I'm at so far. And I do use a Q-snap. I also stitch in hand, and I use scroll rods. Yes, I'll use a grime guard or these peel things. These are like thread keepers. You can find them on Amazon. Needle minder is really good to hold fabric in place if you're stitching in hand. You can roll it up and just hold the needle minder to grab your fabric. Just a quick tip. But I started that for Christmas, and I'm really enjoying it. It's just doing DMC, plain straight DMC, and but there is some blended threads. And then for New Year's, I did not realize there was a stitch along going on, but Gary from, I believe it's Sunshine Stitchers, stopped in. Actually, he hung out for the day at the Stitch Niche. It was really nice to meet him and get to know him some. I had not heard of him and his cohorts. I apologize, Gary. Anyway, but it was really fun to get to know him and see what he was stitching on. And he was telling me that he was working on Winter Quaker, that they were doing a stitch along. I had no idea that this was a stitch along, but I decided I was going to start this. And so I started this for New Year's, and this is where I'm at. So let's see if it'll focus. Yep. So this is being stitched on 36 count. It's like dwarf. I don't think it is actually dwarf because we didn't have any dwarf on hand at the time, and this was the closest that we had. But I am using the called for threads. I am having to separate them because they're too thick otherwise. It is Valdani, and I did make my grime guard, as you saw, and I have a matching bag to go along with it. See? Anyway, and then I started a piece last summer by Hands On Design, and this is the Stitching by the Sea. This is a little pin cushion. It's a little bucket thing. I don't know what you call that part. Anyway, that's what it looks like. She has a whole series of these. The words are Stitching by the Sea is where I long to be. And I finished the little basket part. Oops. There you go. This is on 28 count cashel or cashel, however you say it. And I am cruising right along on the inside. Actually, I think it goes like this based upon my stitching. But hopefully I'll have this done this week, and then I can get it fully finished. Excited to do that. And this is also in one of my bags. I do the vinyl bags, which I sell in the shop. I'm considering opening a shop online or selling them on a Instagram account. Right now, I have an Instagram. It is Maria Kutzner. So if you just do a search, you'll find me. Love to have you follow me. Anyway, and then I do. I am on Facebook, but I don't really. I don't have a lot of stitchers that I interact with, except in the different groups on Facebook. So, working at a stitch shop, I have a lot of stash, but I'm not going to pull it out all out today. Y'all will be bored to tears. Anyway, but one of my most recent acquisitions was actually one of the most recent kitting up, because I bought this when it came out. This is spring salt box, or spring salt boxes. And this is by Plum Street. And I finally actually fully kitted that up. So it is ready to go. I'm looking forward to getting that started soon. And then I also am wanting to do Bless Our Land, also by Paulette. She's one of my favorites, as well as Hands-On Design and Ink Circles and Satsuma Street, and yeah, the list goes on. So anyway, that one is also kitted. And then I had to get this one the other night because we just recently got it. It's by the Little Stitch Girl, Jordan Nicole. And you guys know her. She is on YouTube. And this is so cute. And I would like to do some more patriotic pieces. So those are on the docket. Not exactly sure when they'll get done, but I'll keep you posted. Anyway, see if I forgot anything. I did write myself some notes, but I think that I got pretty much everybody. Couple of my other favorite YouTubers are Misty Purcell and Luminous Fiber Arts. She's also designing, if y'all aren't aware, and stitched a couple of her pieces, as well as have some in my stash, and love her pieces. I'm looking forward to getting to meet her. So, as well as a number of other people, but appreciate you stopping by, and I look forward to getting to do this more and to getting to know each one of y'all better. And thank you. If you enjoyed my video, feel free to like and subscribe. And I am hoping to do this at least once a month, if not more often. So, I don't know, keep your eyes peeled. Hopefully you'll see me again soon. Either way, you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later.